Here are some highlights of this program.
Hello everybody.
Welcome to Brainstorm exclusive interview.
Our education should be corrected, adapted, and updated.
Live better, they can send their children to school because they can interact with their authorities.
Mechanics, electricity, computer science, innovation,
And we know that is a brainstorm.
Yourself after watching this interesting program, notice the final statement made by our notable guest, a brand new one. Hello everybody and welcome to Brainstorm Broadcast. High expectations of responsible leadership. Last time in our previous talk, we talked about leadership in the various parts of society and in the various domains of life. And today we're going to focus on this topic, high expectations of leadership, responsible leadership, of course. On one hand, we have populations where there's expectations of those that are taking the lead over them, and also responsible leaders who have duties or are accountable to those who have voted them. Here we're going to focus on statesmen and also how they could do things in order to meet the population's need. Joining me now on this stage is Jonathan Muya. Hello, Jonathan, and welcome to this program.
I'm happy to be back.
Yes. We want to remind you that Jonathan is a macroeconomist. We're going to break down this relevant topic at least for 30 minutes. All right, let's kick it off. So we're going to deal with this really important subject, high expectations of responsible leadership. So what is a responsible leadership in any given state?
Thank you for your question. I mean, a responsible leader is someone who puts the interest of the organization that is a leader above his personal agenda. I want to use agenda rather than gain because, being a leader, you can be tempted to use that position for your own gain. That's why they put interests of the community they are interested above their personal agenda. I think this is the suitable definition.
Yes, since we focus on expectations of a responsible leadership, you think that a leader must be aware of how and when he should take a good and responsible leadership in any given society?
I think we are leader because we have community, because some leaders confuse that. They think they are leader by themselves. We are leader because there is a community that we are leading. So we have to remind that because any decision we are taking, we have to weigh the pros and cons, the consequences on the community, because we can be spared as a leader. Just take an example, a leader that is like with God, so he can escape insecurity, but his population gonna suffer. So we have to put their interests, as I say, above our personal agenda.
From your perspective, I highlighted the pros and cons of a leadership. It means that a leader can misuse his power when he doesn't take a good leadership over the citizens he has no responsibility for. That's why the video we're going to watch focuses on responsibilities of a leader. Please take a look at it and we'll be back.
The responsibility of leadership is not to drive results. The responsibility of leadership is to create an environment in which people feel that they can be themselves, in which people feel that they can do their work to advance the cause. There's not a leader on the planet who's responsible for the results. We're responsible for the people who are responsible for the results, and it's an entirely different skill set. And the problem is in too many companies, we teach people how to do the job. If you're an accountant, you go get an extra degrees so you can be a good accountant. And when people join our companies, we teach them how to use the computer systems, we teach them the sales, we teach them the product, we give them tons of training at the beginning. And then we promote them to a position of leadership, and we give them no training whatsoever. No or minimal training, one off-site, congratulations, you're a leader. We had a couple of speakers on the stage, you're a leader now. So that's why we get managers and not leaders, because we don't teach people the skills of leadership. Leaders are not responsible for the results. Leaders are responsible for the people who are responsible for the results.
All right, now, why is a responsible leadership vital in a democratic regime?
I think, so I think we have the same understanding of what is democracy, because today people talk about democracy, but it's not really that. I think the leader is the soul of the democracy, because in a democratic regime, we instruct people upon the agenda that they show us we're going to deliver this and that. So a leader is the fundamental piece of democracy to work, I think, because he's the one who is going to ignite the state of law before people to follow. I think it's a crucial role in democracy.
Yeah, responsibilities meet the population's expectations is something vital. But there are unfortunately some statement who disregards that fact of saying that since I'm appointed, I'm voted, so it doesn't matter to care for the population's needs. So you think that is a responsible leadership consistent with statesmanship?
I think, yeah, for sure, leadership is consistent with a statesmanship. But I think a statesman is more than a leader, because, like you said earlier, we have some leader that's, they are not putting the gain of the population, the vote for them, but a statesman is behind a leader. So I think the statesman is the elation, the last level of leadership.
So theoretically speaking, you can say things like this, you can break down some of the concepts, but those watching you right now, even political leaders, they don't really grasp what you mean. So can you tell them exactly what does it take to be a responsible leader?
I think being a responsible leader is being vision-oriented, because you have to surely know where you are trying to lead people, because leadership is about leading people. Where do you want to lead people, and also to know their need and to know how the means that you're going to use. You can be, for instance, a president, so how are you going to leave taxes to accomplish, like building, I don't know, whatever program you have. I think this is the clear to be a responsible leader.
Sometimes citizens misunderstand or they go beyond expectations, thinking that the political leaders can do everything. They can even clean their house, even the streets where they live on. So you think that citizens or populations or constituents have, what could they actually look to in a statement?
I think, I want to differentiate here a leader with a statement. As I say, a statement is the highest, level of leadership, because a leader can just deliver what population expect him to do, but a statement do what is deliverable. So it's up to population to really grasp, because, here we have 2 seasons, and I think you have a favorite. One is a dry season, but when you go to like USA, we have 4 seasons, so that people ask just what they think is doable, that is deliverable. So this is the limit of what they can expect from him.
Well, sometimes when people are, it's like in a game of soccer, you have supporters on sidelines. They can criticize, they can look at how players are doing or performing on the ground or soccer field. But once inside, things are changed. They realize how hard it is. So could you please tell folks, what are some of the challenges statesmen have to do in order to meet their program or their agenda?
So I just really like this comparison. But I just think the most challenge that they have like to make their vision known by anyone, because sometimes they find difficulties because, a statement is someone that is like the solution for a country, in any given organization for a time being. So the difficulty is to make people sure that he really has a vision. That is the great. But I think churchmen, they go behind these obstacles. They can overcome it.
They can overcome some obstacles or challenges to meet in order to meet as well or to fulfill their campaign promises. So to be realistic, and what can population do? Because here it takes a good and close collaboration between citizens who voted for their leaders and leaders as well. What can they actually do? Are there some of the things that they need to meet actually in order to earn the trust of a population or voters?
I think just they are voted on a program. So if they can deliver what they were voted for, this is just the basic of the foundation of what they can say, because when you promise people on one office, you don't deliver, you are not credited anymore. So I think they are just to deliver what they promised.
Yes, to deliver what they promised. And most of the time, we notice that those members of parliament, even president, republic, they can come over next after 4 or 5 years, come back to the same base, or just to request another vote or another voice just to be elected again. So these videos sometimes will help us understand that on one hand we have leaders with responsibilities, and on the other hand they are also accountable to the population they're taking the lead for. Please take a look at this video and we'll be back.
Everybody's trying to drive performance of their team, and everybody's having a tough time getting people to actually perform. I'm sure you're feeling the exact same thing. The question is, why? Because I think we look at it the wrong way. We're so focused on the responsibility piece, which we have to have. People need to know what they're going to be held accountable to. They have to have their responsibilities. Think about it in terms of a job description. We lay out everybody's responsibilities, and we should. But if all we focus on is on the responsibility and holding people to responsibility, and then we think about why they're not performing, they're not going to take ownership at that point. So we've got to give them responsibility, we've got to assign it, and we should. Accountability is the next piece. So many leaders are actually afraid these days to hold their teams accountable to the responsibilities they've laid out in the first place. And what happens if you give them the responsibility but don't hold them accountable? You're in essence telling people it's not as important as I said, so you don't have to do it. So anything I ask you to do at this point, you don't have to do because I'm not going to hold you accountable to it. So we've got to have the responsibility. We've got to hold them accountable to it. The third piece is the ownership piece. And this is what CEOs ask me about all the time. What I've even thought about all this time is, how do you get people to actually want to take ownership? And this is the key. You can assign a responsibility, as we've talked about, and you should. You can assign accountability, and you should, but you can't assign ownership. People need to take it, and in order to do that, you've got to create an environment where people want to take it, because you can't, by design, force it. Ownership is something that we choose to take, and as leaders, we've got to focus on one thing, and that's creating that environment, starting with responsibility, moving into accountability, but then creating a situation where people choose to give their best.
All right. Now, what could make populations' high expectations reasonable in connection with the responsible leadership?
I think what the population has to do, is just to know what is deliverable, because everything like a leader is voted, as I said earlier, for a reason, for a program. So they are just to do their part, because, for instance, if it's in any given, organization, they should do their part because, for instance, let us take example of citizenship. A leader has a program like to, build, road, whatever. So population at their part, they have to pay, for instance, taxes. This is the way of contributing to the accomplishment of what the leader promised.
But some of the things that we have noticed during the last, 10 years ago in Congo especially, voters misunderstand what happens. For instance, they want to vote for the House of Representatives, they want to vote for lawmakers, but they think that lawmaker, once elected, is going to build roads, they're going to fulfill all their means. So you think it's necessary for the population voting the leaders to understand what they are expecting for those leaders?
I think, anyone is a leader, so I will contradict some theory that say everybody is a leader, but I just go against this theory. I think they should notice that a leader, you, for instance, is not a statement I think a member of a parliament to build road. Is to enact laws, is not to build wall. For me as a voter, I can't vote for someone like that. So that is the population to be aware of. Because sometimes it's just propaganda, they just promise something they won't deliver, they just do for just taking the seat. So this is our responsibility, because I'm a voter also.
So what if it comes with a lot of promises? I'm going to do this once elected as member of parliament, and then populations can trust. You think that every citizen, every Congolese is educated enough to know that a lawmaker does not build roads, does not fix education, and so forth?
That's a really great question. It just remember one of your podcasts that I listened. So it was really relevant. So our education, this is also a blockage. So because population are not educated well, so they just go, for every promise. So I think we should improve education. I really like it. We can go
Right.
back to your
So now the
podcast.
opportunity is given you to tell folks watching you right now in different levels, right? Leader, what can he do if it's a president, if it's a minister, if it's a lawmaker? What is the responsibility of each leader? You can tell in shortly to those watching you right now
I think
to understand.
the
Because it
respons-
is like you can go
Yeah.
also to vote.
Yeah, I think a responsibility of a leader is just to deliver what is deliverable, because sometimes the expectation of population can be above or behind what they can do. So a good leader is someone who lead people according to a clear vision, and he knows how to use the means that is at his disposal to reach it. So at what point, because you not just say, for instance, I want the budget of DRC 30 million. So how are you going to do it? So this is what we have to watch for when it comes to, I don't know, election matter, something
All
like
right.
that.
Jonathan, let's be pragmatic. Can you tell us shortly what can a leader, for instance, achieve in a society? What can he fix, actually? A lawmaker, a prime minister, so to say, or a president. What can he fix in community, for instance?
I think the work of a leader is just to improve the society, because no one wanna fall behind. We either keep our position or move forward, and we are always looking for moving forward. Yesterday television wasn't in the side, but we are still going into artificial intelligence. We're just gonna perfect the way that we are living in, we make it better. So I think a leader that is just to improve people's life and using ethical means to these goal.
High expectations of responsible leadership. Population sometimes look forward to the leaders to take care of them, and it takes a close collaboration between leaders and the population. So how can leaders motivate the unmotivated? This video will help you have insights. Please watch it. We'll be back.
I don't think you can motivate the unmotivated. I don't think you could motivate people. People either are motivated or unmotivated. I think you can inspire people. You can motivate people with sticks and carrots, offer them bounty or threaten punishment, and you'll get behavior that you want. Is there loyalty? Is there love? Absolutely not. Usually, when people are unmotivated, it's not necessarily them. It might be the situation they're in. Maybe they don't belong in the culture. Maybe they feel unseen or unheard. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they're unprepared. So we have to, when somebody's unmotivated, let's not label them as unmotivated first. What are the 20 other things that it could also be? Let's start there. Now, are there some people in the world who are unmotivated? Absolutely. You hired them, which means you bear some responsibility if it's time to transition them, to help them find another place where they're going to be a better fit. We can't yell at them and call them stupid and unmotivated and push them out the door. We have to bear some of the responsibility. We hired them. And if we made a mistake and hired somebody who's a bad cultural fit, then we have to take care of them and help them transition to somewhere where they're going to be a better fit. I think that if we only focus on motivating people, and that's a factor, then you're only going to get very finite thinking. An excessive amount of motivating things, like hit this number, get this bonus, you'll get a motivated employee pool that doesn't care about each other, might stab each other in the back, and eventually will take a better job somewhere else. We have to inspire people. We have to give them that sense of cause and vision that their work is worth more. We have to make them feel like they matter and feel like they're seen and heard and understood. And what ends up happening is those people are not only more motivated and inspired, but if they're offered a better, higher paying job somewhere else, they turn it down, because it's not just about the bonuses and the money. It's because they would rather be here with these wonderful people.
All right. Now, let's focus on DRC. Could Congolese citizens also keep high expectations toward their leaders? If so, why?
So, for sure, just remind me the conversation that I have with Finder Riedel. So we were talking about, so sometimes Congolese, we can have many things to move forward, but we are not moving forward because, population has to keep high expectation from a leader, because when you speak to folks, they just sometimes just give us water and electricity. That's not enough, So I think just population have to, what is deliverable. So this is why we have to aware people what a true leader could give. So to avoid to being propaganda, I think that is the work we have to do as, a community that we are in.
You're conscious that most of them have been disappointed For instance, one running for the House of Representatives should truthfully say that, no, I'm not the one to build roads or your problems. My job in a parliament is to vote for law, to make laws. But they didn't tell them. They make them believe that they can fix the things they expect in them to do, but actually, as a matter of fact, they have been disappointed. So now, what can you tell them? What can they do to overcome their last disappointment they had with those potential leaders?
I think they should be aware of propaganda, speech like I will do this, I will do that. They should be aware of that. So because population has to be educated enough. Just like I said, to refer to your podcast, I will like it again. So I just think what we have to do is awareness. So to make people like what can a leader deliver in any kind of given situation. So we have to make them aware of.
And are you ready to do that job of educating the citizen population, the voters, to know? But you could be against that politician because he knows that ignorance helps him somehow to earn their trust and to be elected. And then when you go there down and say, oh, no, don't do this because he's not the one who's going to fix this, you think that you could be welcome?
You know what? Today with a global world that we have, so something that you can keep people ignorant here, but make sure that with connection, TikTok, and heavy, internet, so we can be connected. They can discover that you were just lying. So this is why we have to make sure that, because with different exchange culture, we can see what is delivered in the USA, in Madagascar, just stay here in Africa. So I think this job, I really do it whenever I got time to. Even if I'm busy sometimes.
Okay. How leaders can hold employees accountable? You want to find it out? Please watch and we'll be back.
This is a story of 4 people named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. There was an important job to be done and everybody was asked to do it. Everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. Somebody got angry about that because it was everybody's job. Everybody thought anybody could do it, but nobody realized that everybody wouldn't do it. It ended that everybody blamed somebody when nobody did what anybody could have done. I bet this sounds familiar. You've probably played one of the characters. For leaders, accountability starts with looking in the mirror. Being accountable is our ticket to earning the right to hold other people accountable. But in order to do that, we first have to understand what accountability is. Accountability is accepting the responsibility for the outcomes expected of us, both the good and the bad. Anyone who absolves himself of responsibility cannot effectively lead others. It starts and ends with I. I will do this. I am responsible. I will take ownership, etc. You get the point. Once we get into the habit of taking accountability and saying I first, it will provide the ability to create a culture of accountability. However, demonstrating accountability yourself isn't always enough to help someone else be accountable. As leaders, we often need to hold others responsible. In order to do this, we need to do 4 simple things. The first is we have to establish expectations. Here's what's expected of you. Second, we have to gain commitment for that's what's expected of them. Are you on board with this expectation? Third, we have to inspect what you expect. I'll review what you do. And number 4, we need to provide feedback and consequences. Here's some feedback for what you did, or because you didn't live up to your commitment, here are the consequences. Accountability, above all else, is not merely the means of keeping one honest and in check. Remember the story about everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody, and make it your mission to never put yourself or your team in that position.
Okay, now regarding responsibility or responsible leadership in the DRC, is there a glimmer of hope for the future?
That's a good question, a great question. So to address your question, so when you talk about the glimmer of hope, hope is created. So sometimes we just being optimistic just about nothing. So I think we have to create this hope to wake. So that's I think we have to create our future. Like people often say, I think we not have to a passive position to say no, tomorrow is going to be better than today. That is one just is a general.
Yeah, tomorrow going to be better.
No,
than
we
today.
have to create this tomorrow. That's what we are doing.
Create this tomorrow.
Yeah.
The leader is promising population keep waiting, keep an expectation. While is eating well, he's traveling, is building compounds, is buying things, and then keep you in expectation. Please wait. How long will the population keep in expectation?
I think this is about, is about the compromise of the society, how the society is organized. So it's about it's about confidence, So it's about that in society. So we should know what the leader should deliver and what the leader should take, back.
All right. So we've been wondering. So now I think quickly we're going to the end of our show. What are some key factors to improve a political leadership in DRC? You have some clues to help folks understand what are the problems that should be corrected, be fixed in order to improve poor leadership in the DRC?
Okay, to that question, I would say, sometimes people they portray me of having credit, but, thought-provoking. I think here is not a fact of improving, politically, because, they have done a lot and I really respect what they do, but themselves, they are conscious that we have to rebuild. We don't have to improve because, improvement, this is not time of improvement.
Yes.
That's the time of rebuilding, recreating, I mean.
That's something well noted. They're conscious of what they do and they can do their best to do better in the days ahead. Now, what's your closing remark to your viewers watching you right now?
I think DRC is a country which is at the crossroad in everything that is happening, and is a country with potential that can be a greatest country in Africa and in the world. But what lacks are just leadership. So today we are kind of 65 years of independence, but kind of we are falling behind. We are same level with people like Chinese and but now DRC is falling behind, is among the poorest country in the world. I think we don't lack means, and we have everything that can make our country to make Congo great. So not again because Congo. So I think this is our expectation. So we have to look for good leader who can deliver. So statemen, because statemen, as I say, statesmanship is more than leadership, because statesmen give what is deliverable, not just what people expect. So I really hope that we are going to have that.
Jonathan Muya, thank you so much for answering our invitation to this talk show.
Thank you for having me. That is always a pleasure.
All right. High expectations of responsible leadership. We try to focus on different aspects of a leader, and expectations of population, of course, they need to be reasonable in their expectations. Everything has been said, even though we did not cover pretty all the factors, but we look forward in the days ahead to covering most of the things in the same angle or different angle of leadership. Thank you so much for watching this wonderful program. Stay tuned on the next national channel, RTNC2 Développement. Bye. Here are some highlights of this program.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome to Brainstorm exclusive interview.
Our education should be corrected, adapted, and updated.
Live better, they can send their children to school because they can interact with their authorities.
Mechanics, electricity, computer science, innovation,
And we know that it's a brainstorm.
You yourself, after watching this interesting program, notice the final statement made by our notable guest, a brand new one.